Hello everyone, my name is Riya Gadekar and I'm from Deva Patil Institute of Technology, Pimpri. And today I will be presenting the work I completed during my full stack web development internship at MERN by Webstack Academy. During this internship, I worked on designing and building a complete web application using MERN Stack, that is MongoDB, Express.js, React.js, and Node.js. This presentation will cover my learning objectives, project requirements, architecture and design, implementation details, technologies used, key learnings, and finally a live demo of the project that I made. The primary goal of this internship was to gain hands-on experience in full-stack development by building a real-world application from scratch. There were three major objectives. First being master the MERN stack. I learned how front-end, back-end, and database communicate together in a real production workflow. Secondly, to apply the best development practices. This included component-based architecture, a RESTful API design, and clean code structuring. Third being delivering a complete working solution from concept, development, testing, and deployment. So the internship was not just learning concepts but implementing an entire production ready system. The project required building a responsive web application with complete backend integration. The key deliverables included user authentication system, data management using CRUD operations, real-time interaction through APIs, reusable React components, secure REST API endpoints, proper database and schema design, and testing and documentation. The technology stack used was the MERN stack. MongoDB is naturally used for storage. Express is used for routing from the APIs. React is used for user interface, that is the front end, and Node.js is used for server execution. Now, coming to the system architecture, the application follows a three-tier architecture. The front-end layer is built using React. It handles the user interface and user interaction, that's UI UX. API layer, the Express.js routes process HTTP requests naturally and communicate between front-end and back-end. So API serves as the middle layer between the front-end and the back-end. The data layer, that is the backend layer, where MongoDB is used to store structured documents. This separation improves the maintainability, the scalability, and the debugging efficiency, as well as the future upgrades are easily applied to the system. So each layer works independently, but it communicates through APIs. Now, introducing full stack development, it means working on both front end and back end of an application. Front-end development involves creating user interfaces using HTML, CSS, JavaScript frameworks like React. Back-end development has writing the server logic, handling requests, and managing databases. Now, the integration and deployment involves connecting both these parts, testing the functionality and how they work together, and deploying it to the actual production result. A full stack developer understands the complete life cycle of a web application. The MERN stack technology was something that the project forced us to implement using React, Node.js, Express, and MongoDB. Now, as stated earlier, React is used to build dynamic and responsive UI using reusable components and virtual DOM. That's something new that we learned in this project. Node.js provides server runtime and handles asynchronous operations efficiently. As we know, we've been building a music platform, so the asynchronous operations were readily required to be handled. Express.js simplifies backend API creation using routing and middleware. We had an entire middleware coding and route coding that was needed to correctly route the changes and the models directly to the files. MongoDB is a NoSQL database storing flexible JSON like documents. The advantage of MERN is that the entire stack uses JavaScript, making development faster and consistent. Coming to the implementation on the backend development. The backend was developed using Node.js and Express, which is the primary objective of MERN. API development was designed using RESTful endpoints using proper HTTP methods, that is get, post, put, and delete. Middleware was implemented and request validation authentication checks. Authentication was a JWT based authentication for secure login sessions. Error handling was standardized error responses for better debugging. So we added certain very straightforward error responses. So even if the app crashed, we could log into the console and then see what the error actually was, and it would exactly tell us which file or which code had the error. The database implementation used Mongoose ODM for schema modeling and relationships. The code structure was separated in routes, controllers, and business logic to maintain clean architecture. And as stated above, the API development, that is get, post, put, and delete through HTTP methods, was implemented using Postman, which is a very important tool these days. The front-end implementation and development was done using React. The component architecture organized stateless and stateful components in a reusable structure. The UI/UX design was responsive and adaptable to multiple screen sizes. The API integration was done using Axios, used to communicate between backend APIs. State management had React hooks used for managing application state. The features implemented were form validation, conditional rendering, and client-side routing using React Router. This allowed smooth user interaction without page reloads. Now, the project highlights some key learnings or takeaways for me during the project were: full stack integration. Naturally, this connected the front end React components with backend APIs successfully. The performance optimization was done using optimized database queries and improved response speed. We also implemented security, that is password hashing, token authentication, and input validation, which I had not done before. Professional skills involve debugging complex issues, version control collaboration, agile development workflow, which is needed during full stack development, and independent feature implementation, so that the entire integration while developing separate uh, components in an app, when integrated, come together beautifully and actually show a very beautiful result. Now, coming to the conclusion and future enhancements. This internship provided practical exposure to real world software development. I acquired skills like React component design, Express API creation, MongoDB schema modeling, Node.js backend development, and testing and deployment workflows. The result is fully functional web application implementing modern MERN Stack practices. Future enhancements are WebSocket real-time features. A GraphQL API support could be integrated. Something like a Docker containerization that I read about could be applied, and some automated deployment could be used so that the after headaches of full stack development are reduced. Thank you so much for this valuable learning opportunity, Emergency by Webstack. I really could put my full stack skills to the test, and you all really taught me what it's like to work under pressure and work with deadlines with a project. Thank you so much again for the valuable teachings and experiences that you have provided us with, and more so, I shall provide you with a video description or a demo of the project that you've helped me build. Now that I have explained the design and architecture, I will briefly walk through the actual project code structure on VS Code to show how the application is implemented internally. The project is built using MERN Stack, so it is divided into two main parts: backend, which is Node, Express plus MongoDB, and frontend, which has React and Redux. Now, inside the backend, we follow a proper MVC based structure to maintain scalability and clean separation of logic. In the SRC folder, we have the following major directories: config, controllers, middleware, models, routes, utils, server, and app.js. Now, config has database connection configuration. Controllers have the business logic. The middleware has authentication and error handling. The models have MongoDB schemas. The routes have API endpoints. Utils are like helper functions, and the separation ensures each file has a single responsibility. Now, The server starts from server.js, which initializes the Express application and connects it to the database. The app.js contains middleware configuration. It has JSON parsing, root mounting, centralized error handling. So server.js runs the server and app.js configures the server. Now, while we go to models, here we define the MongoDB schemas using Mongoose. For example, the song model stores title, artist, genre, duration, audio URL, creator reference, etc. Each document represents one song in the database. Similarly, we have a user and playlist model, which define relationships between a user and their songs. Next, going to the controller logic, which is the business logic. Controllers contain the actual functionality of the application. Instead of writing logic inside routes, we separate it here. So the user controller handles login and register. The song controller handles song CRUD operations, that is create, update, delete, etc. Playlist controller has the playlist management. The favorite controller obviously has the favorites stored. So routes only define endpoints while controllers execute the logic. Now when we go to routes, we define REST API endpoints. Example, post API, get API playlists, delete API songs, etc. So each route calls its corresponding controller function. This makes API clean and scalable. Now the next important part is the middleware, which is a security layer. In auth middleware.js, the middleware runs before the controllers. We use authentication middleware to verify the JWT token. We identify the logged in user and protect private routes. We also have error middleware to standardize error responses. We also ensured security and proper API behavior. Now going to utility functions. The utility files contain reusable helper functions. For example, token generation logic is kept separate, so authentication remains clean and reusable. Now we are done with backend. We go to frontend. The frontend is built using React and Redux for state management. The main directories are components, which have the reusable AI UI components. The pages are full of screens. The features are Redux slices. The services are API communication. And the assets are static files. This follows modular React architecture. Now, React components. Components represent reusable UI paths. For example, navbar has navigation links. Song card displays song information. Playlist card has playlist UI. The player bar has actual music player controls. Each component focuses only on UI rendering. Now when we go to features, that is the Redux state management. Application state is managed using Redux Toolkit. We create separate slices. Auth slice is user login state. Song slice is song data. Player slice is the current playing song, and the playlist size or the playlist detail size has the playlist data. Redux helps synchronize UI and backend data consistently across the app. Now player logic. When we open playerbar.jsx, this component controls the audio player. It listens to Redux state, current song, play pause state. When state changes, the audio element automatically plays or pauses. So React UI controls playback, not the HTML audio directly. This ensures centralized player behavior across the application. Now the API communication. The frontend communicates with the backend using HTTP requests. Whenever user performs an action, login, add song, or create playlist or play music, React dispatches the Redux action. Redux calls API, backend processes, database updates, frontend updates automatically, so the UI always stays synchronized. with database state. Now when we actually go to the demo of the project, this is the first page. When we click on the link, this is the login page and this is the register page. You will try logging in with an existing account, and that takes us to the home page. Now this is the add new song feature, where you can add a new song by pasting a title, a URL link, artist name and genre. Such songs have already been added. Now this is the search bar in which you can search the songs. So if I type SH, which is an artist, I will get all the songs by SH. If I actually type a specific song, I will get that song too. Now if we wish to play a song, there are options like play, add to playlist, favorites and delete the song. So this button actually puts the song particularly in the favorite section. As you can see, these songs have been added to the favorite section. Now if you want to play the song gets played. Here we have various options like pause, forward, the song has changed. Here we can mute the song. Here we can shuffle the playlists. So these are the options that have been provided here. In the playlist bar, we have an option of creating a playlist. So if we wish to create new playlists, say nighttime, and you can add a description which is optional, and then you create this playlist. Now when we go to home, we can add this song to the playlist. Now as you can see, if we want to add a particular song to a playlist, there are certain playlists already created here, like you can see. Now if we wish to add this song to the playlist, we can select the playlist. So we'll add it to the playlist that we just created, and then we click on add. Now this song has been added. So if you go to playlists and it shows one song, if you click on that playlist, you'll see that song and you'll be able to play it. So it started playing. Now the my profile option, if you wish to edit the profile name, say you wish to add Aru as your name, then it's going to get updated here. So these are the features, and you can then log out and directly go to the register page. If you wish, you can add in a new user, child@123 tral@gmail.com, and we can create a password, and then we can register. We can save the password, and then a new user will be logged in. So this is the final demo of the project, and this is what we've been taught. Thank you so much for helping me build this project. I shall scale it to new heights as when I learn new things. Thank you so much.